We have some breaking news coming in. A major police operation is underway in the southwestern German city of Mannheim, with early reports of a car ramming incident in the city center. Police have told the public to stay away from the downtown area. And this incident comes during the region's carnival season, when crowds would typically gather for parades. So let's take a closer look with DW's security correspondent, Thomas Sparrow. Thomas, still early days at this point. Can you tell us a little bit more about what we know here?
At this time, it's also important to really differentiate what has been said by police and what has been said by authorities and what is still speculation, because it is the case with these kinds of security incidents that you have very fast, in a very spread out way, a lot of speculation about what might have happened and so on. Police, as is in the case with these kinds of security incidents, have really just limited their statements to the minimum, saying that there's a police operation underway, that the city centre has been blocked, asking people, as you said, to stay at home, to avoid going out, and again, asking for people to avoid speculating about possible motivations. That's what we don't know. So we don't know what exactly happened beyond what police just said. There are obviously reports, specifically on local media, that are pointing in one direction or the other direction, but it's still really too early to say what kind of security situation this is beyond the fact of what has been reported by police.
So let's take a look at the context then. It's carnival season here in Germany, we've said. In many cities, there are big celebrations with people partying out in the streets. Were German authorities on alert for some kind of possible attack, given the fact that so many people were expected to be gathered outside?
So that's one important element that we do have to stress. Probably there were a lot of people out and about, not only in Mannheim, but in other German cities that celebrate carnival season. And yes, indeed, for example, specifically in the case of Cologne, a major German city, security authorities were on alert because of possible security incidents, in particular coming from the Islamist scene. But again, we need to be very cautious. There is no link so far with any kind of sort of motivation in this particular case, but police were ahead of these events, ahead of this carnival season, on alert because of possible security implications.
And indeed, Germany has been hit by a number of attacks over the past couple of years. This was an issue that became really front and center in Germany's elections in February, that many of the parties really pointed to in their campaigning, right?
So those attacks, all, or at least many of those, had very different elements, so I wouldn't group them all into sort of one important development. You had, for example, the attack in Magdeburg in December. You had one in Aschaffenburg, which was a knife attack. You had a situation in Munich. You had one even here in Berlin only a few weeks ago. And again, they were all a little bit different in nature, but what they do have in common is that they, on the one hand, became a very important part of the political discussion ahead of the federal elections that were won by the conservative bloc CDU-CSU here in Germany on February 23rd. And the second element that they sort of created, or at least enhanced, this sense among many in Germany of a sense of insecurity, I would call it. But again, and since I'm talking about being cautious on this, these incidents in the past few weeks were in nature different. They were not always, they didn't have always the same motivation or the same kind of perpetrator and so on. So again, it's important not to sort of put them all together into just one group.
That is a really important point. Thank you so much. We've been speaking with Thomas Sparrow about a major police operation underway in Mannheim.